Welcome back to the Rock and Roll Ghost podcast. This week we have Rick Wilson, renowned political strategist and member of the Lincoln Project. And the last time you and I talked was after the insurrection.
That's right.
And now
It's
here we are.
and now they are all heroes of the Republic.
Yes, yeah. 4 years later, we thought that was going to be it.
You know, there's there's a thing in Florida where I'm a fifth generation Floridian where we have these gigantic cockroaches.
Yeah,
I mean, they're the size of your hand, and the some bitches are really hard to kill. And Donald Trump gives those cockroaches a run for their damn money.
yeah,
He's like the radioactive version of those cockroaches.
yeah. I gotta be honest. I at some point I just said I mean, I'm not saying any of us deserve this, but I did say that Donald Trump is probably America's, I guess, karmic payback for some things we've done that weren't so on the up and up. I don't know if we really deserve it, but it seems to be some sort of karmic payback for shady government over the years, which has now been just twisted into I don't even understand what any of them believe in anymore.
They don't believe in anything. The party that I represented and was in for 30 plus years
Yeah.
does not believe in anything, Brett. They do not have any internal belief structure whatsoever. All they believe in is is my action right now going to make Donald Trump happy?
Yeah.
And that's all they care about. I mean, Marco Rubio, who absolutely knows better, sat in a room in Saudi Arabia with
Absolutely.
with Sergei Lavrov. And didn't he, people are like, oh, Marco got rolled, he got tricked. No, he didn't. He went there and I don't know if this sounds familiar, folks. He was just following orders,
Yeah.
and that degree of personal and moral failure is unspeakably tragic for the world and for the country.
Absolutely. Yeah, Rubio was the only one I thought maybe we had a good chance with, but I was deluding myself, of course.
No, look, I have Donald Trump has a single superpower, Brett. That superpower is to make everyone into the worst version of themselves.
Yeah.
Everyone who goes to work for him, everyone who thinks they're going to be the one who changes him, everybody who thinks they're going to go and help Donald Trump be less Donald Trumpish, they're all wrong.
Yeah.
Universally, they're wrong.
Yeah.
Donald Trump is going to corrupt them. Donald Trump is going to break them. Donald Trump is going to hurt their reputations, their honor. And he does this because he is a fundamentally dishonorable man. He wants people to be as bad as he is, and he gets what he wants.
Yeah. Just an incredibly damaged and evil man. I mean, I don't know how else to put it anymore. I mean, when you go out of your way to just hurt random people that you have no business need to hurt, just to save, to get away some money so you could get your Rick's tax, cut again, is just insane.
Look, if you're a billionaire in America, the grotesque truth of it already is you already don't pay taxes.
Right. No, we've learned it out about Musk.
Yeah, and you already don't have any you know skin in the game of America,
Right.
and and it's important to remember guys like Elon Musk, they're not they're not brilliant like supervillain masterminds. They're guys who ended up making a lot of money in narrow markets, and we're being dragged back into the 1930s, economically, morally, militarily, diplomatically, because Elon Musk and Peter Thiel and David Sachs and Jeff Bezos want to live in a world where they are not just financially elite, but but exists in a world where essentially monarchy has been restored in the US, and they
Yeah.
are of a different, not just class of people, but category of people.
Yeah.
And it is really quite a disappointing and remarkably dark uh, uh, position we find ourselves in right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, and without getting too far off the subject I wanted to talk about, but I mean, I don't know what the hell the Democrats are doing. I mean, I don't
I
understand it.
know, I
And
know. I wish I could tell you, oh, it's as easy just to fix do 1, 2, and 3. Do steps 4, 5, and 6 of the Rick Wilson patented Save Your Party plan. But there are a lot of folks in the Democratic Party who, to be perfectly candid with you, do not want saving.
Yeah.
And that's some real talk.
Yeah.
And it is not easy for them for people to hear that. They don't like hearing it.
Yeah.
I understand why they don't like hearing it. You know why? Nobody wants to admit that they're wrong. People
Yeah.
hate admitting they're wrong. People hate admitting they fucked up. People hate admitting that the way they're doing things doesn't work.
Right.
And the fact of the matter is the way they're doing things doesn't work.
Yeah.
And being and if you're doing something that doesn't work and you take offense to people telling you that you're doing something that doesn't work, you're not really interested in fixing it.
No.
You're not really trying to fix it. You're not really working to fix it. You are at that point, um, sort of uh, looking for an excuse, not a reason. You're looking for a hall pass on incompetence. And look, uh, Democrats have a very difficult problem in facing up to Donald Trump. They believe deep in their hearts that the solution to political problems is policy,
Yeah.
and that if only people would pay attention to their excellent policies, then the world would work properly. Well, the world doesn't work properly. That is not the world we live in. That is not the America they want to be in. And I understand it. I get it. I get that policy is seductive and it's easy and it's kind of fun for intellectual nerdy people. And if I could make problems go away by writing and passing good policies, I would.
Yeah.
But people don't care. The heart and the gut beat the head and the brain all the time. And the Democrats try to win people over by making them think about intellectual arguments. And Trump says, "Fuck yeah, party. Let's throw bad people that we don't like out of the country."
Right.
Which one do you think has a more emotionally resonant
Yeah.
effect on
No,
people?
absolutely. No. I mean, like, yeah. Yeah. It's, I called Jeffrey's office. I tried his Brooklyn, one of his Brooklyn offices got a full voicemail, and then I called the other one and got somebody and let them know in those uncertain terms how fucking irritated I am by him. And then
Well,
I called Schumer and did it too.
well, look, I think Jeffries has a greater possibility of of someday having a
Schumer,
more
there's no,
effective approach. But I'm sorry, and I know I'm going to take a lot of shit for this, and I always do. Chuck Schumer is not a wartime consigliere.
no,
He is not the guy you want in a battle to the death with Donald Trump. I'm sorry. I wish I could tell my Democratic friends there was some
no,
other
don't
answer to that,
apologize.
but it's not. It's not going to change until they understand that that this is a battle to the death, and that you have to do everything all the time. You can't lay around and say, "Oh, well, we'll let people make their own decisions and they'll see how bad he is." You have to have a narrative, and you have to tell a story every day, and you have to go out and you have to fight evil with strength.
Yeah,
Evil only respects strength. It does not respect goodness or kindness or anything beyond the the application of force against it. People who don't understand that, I think, have led us to a position where we are fundamentally trapped by a Democratic Party that does not understand power. And even if they did understand it, they wouldn't want to use it because it makes them feel uncomfortable. It makes them feel like, oh, well, now we have to be the tough guys. Now we have to be the assholes. Which I always say, like, you don't have to be the assholes. Let Lincoln Project do it for you. We'll go out and kick the bad guys in the fucking teeth.
I've suggested that myself when I in post, but I mean, what is that? What is a post on right now?
I know. I
Do
know.
anything? Does anybody listen to anything? You know,
Well, look, I mean, here's the thing I think is an important sort of non-reductive view of the political world. There's a big pro-democracy ecosystem. It doesn't work terribly well, but it certainly beats the shit out of the alternative.
correct.
And the alternative is capitulation. The alternative is giving up, walking away, and saying, yeah, this is too hard. This work is too tough for us. The work is not too tough. People can do this work. We can get there. This is not, the day is dark, but it is not as dark as everybody thinks it is. And so, you got to get up every day and be willing to fight. Got to get up every day and be willing to punch bad guys in the face. And I know people don't like doing it. I get it. I truly do. But what's the alternative?
Yeah.
What is the alternative? What are people going to present as an alternative to a constant fight with evil? If evil is in the room, it will cheat, it will lie. These people will do everything they can to not be held accountable.
Yeah.
And for all of everyone has flaws. I have more than my share, but if you're going to be in a fight, you better have some fight in you. And so often, my Democratic friends, honest to God, it feels like they're like looking for reasons to apologize in advance for what they absolutely know they should be doing.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, let's get to Russia here. I think it's beyond clear that even if Putin didn't have anything on Trump, he obviously has him in under his control at this.
100%. Absolutely. There's no world in which Donald Trump doesn't look at Vladimir Putin. And in some ways, it's the most pernicious outcome of all. He looks at Putin as a role model.
Yeah.
He looks at Putin as somebody to admire and to emulate and to imitate. And no American president of either party, no Republican or Democrat, woke up at any point in the last 75 years and said, you know who are great guys? Those Russians are great guys. The communist KGB officer who runs Russia for the last 25 years, very few people get rooked twice by them. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Even George W. Bush, who said I could, looked in Putin's soul, it turned out that, he corrected that statement not very long after that.
Yeah.
Because Putin doesn't have a soul.
Right.
He is evil. And, Donald Trump is unwilling to say evil is evil. And I get it. You know what? He wants to make a deal. He wants to like make money off of this thing. All those things are explicable, but not acceptable.
Right. Right. But we've gotten into an age, and that it goes to show with the cabinet nominees and Republicans that it's obvious this is a very malleable moment in American history. Everyone has a price because everyone's morals are compromised.
There are a lot of people in this country who do have a price, who are willing to go out and say outrageous, egregious things they have no belief in. Look, Lindsey Graham does not believe that Vladimir Putin
No.
should be given the deferential treatment that he's being given by the Trump administration. But Lindsey Graham also believes that he still wants to play golf at Mar-a-Lago and, quote, have the president's ear.
Yeah.
All these guys who believe that, every flipping one of them, it's like, this is a lie. You're telling yourself a lie. You're telling yourself a pernicious lie that will lead you to be morally and personally compromised. What is wrong with you? I don't know how many times I've said to my former Republican friends, what is wrong with you? What is broken in your brain and your soul that you believe that this situation is acceptable? And the desire for power, Brett, is incredible.
Yeah.
It will make strong people weak, and weak people evil. And that's where we are.
Yeah. Well, I last week I took the first half of the list of every Republican senator and called each one of them.
Right.
And Graham, I specifically mentioned my grandfather who fought in World War II and John McCain, and just told him he should be ashamed, completely ashamed and disgusted with himself.
He should be. He absolutely should be. There's no world in which Lindsey Graham, well, there is a world because he has
Yeah.
no shame, but there's no world in which Lindsey Graham should wake up and think, I'm doing the right thing.
Mhm.
I'm leading an honorable life. I'm doing what character and decency and conservatism uh, make me believe are the appropriate steps in my life. There's no way Lindsey Graham believes that we should be handing over Ukraine to Vladimir Putin. But again, the fear of Trump ostracizing them or attacking them or running a primary against them um, is absolutely so overwhelming. And look, I'm a practicing Stoic, and courage is the highest virtue. You have to be courageous when you're confronting evil. You have to
Yeah.
stand up to it. You have to understand who you are as a person, can determine whether you can do good or do evil. And Lindsay has decided to do evil. Marco has decided to do evil. And and that's a hard thing to say to yourself. It's hard to admit to yourself, hey, I'm in the wrong team. But right now, Trump has put America on the wrong team in a historical frame that that I don't mean to put too fine a point on this, Brett, but I think World War III might have started last week. Not the shooting part,
No.
but we're going to look back at Trump and Marco as Neville Chamberlain and Lord Halifax before when they got rooked by Hitler before World War II, and Britain stayed out of the fight for another year,
Yeah.
and which cost them terribly on the battlefield.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and then who knows if there is something like that, what side we're even on.
Well, I at this point will not be shocked if Donald Trump um, if Donald Trump um, has American aircraft and American forces protecting Russia in the next 30 days. I
Yeah.
won't be shocked. Nothing will shock me.
Now there's a thing I heard, and I don't know how concrete it was, but is there talk of getting out of removing bases from European and flight
Yes, Trump
stations?
is Trump is and by the way, folks, just so everybody's clear, Putin has given up nothing. He
Yeah.
has offered nothing and given up nothing. Putin has no skin in the game. It is completely um, right now, completely Putin's table. He's run the table. And so as we look at this, as we look at the moment that they're in right now, he's given up nothing,
Mhm.
and and American forces are going to withdraw from Europe. He's going to withdraw American troops from all frontline states. He's going to he's going to insist on on the U.S. Uh, blocking Ukraine from entering NATO. The whole thing has become a truly terrible um, outcome.
Yeah.
I mean, truly terrible.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, this whole thing is just and the what they just dismantled the group that was taking on like the sanctions and
Yeah, right. We're no longer sanctioning the Russian oligarchs who are funding and supporting Putin's attacks on Ukrainian civilian targets every day.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
if folks, if you haven't gone to school on this at all, it is a dark, dark, dark place to consider. But every day in Ukraine, Vladimir Putin's forces are bombing civilians, hospitals, nursery schools, daycare centers, old folks' homes, apartment buildings. The billionaires supporting Putin were sanctioned by Joe Biden and both houses of Congress, by the way, with majorities of both houses of Congress. And now we're going to let those people off the hook. The
Yeah.
people that make Putin's empire and his life possible. None of this is good. None of this makes sense. None of this represents American values, but all of it represents exactly who Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin are. They are allies now. They are in an alliance that is fundamentally anti-democratic, and that's small d on that democratic, fundamentally anti-democratic and fundamentally evil. And people go, oh, don't use the word evil, Rick. Come on, man. You can't. It's evil. Say the
Yeah.
words. Say the words. Say the real words.
Yeah. And then we've got these people that we just nominated people that have basically a relationship with, Putin and Russia.
Sure.
I mean,
Look, I think the important part to understand that America will eventually get to, every word out of Vladimir Putin's mouth is a lie.
yes.
He speaks absolutely, he's violated in the last 25 years something like 195 international agreements.
Yeah.
This is not a good guy. This is not a guy you trust or want to have around. This is not a guy who blinks an eye at killing civilians. And if that's our country, if that's what America's going to be, then Donald Trump has won the greatest victory that Vladimir Putin and the former Soviet Union could have possibly imagined.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
that's what they wanted.
Yeah.
They wanted to be they want to be a global power, even though their economy is less than about there are 11 states in America that have higher GDPs than Russia,
Yeah.
but they want to be a first world power with a third world economy and a vicious, horrifying dictatorship underneath the whole thing.
Yeah. What I hate to have you just speculate on something, but my problem is I keep looking at everything they're doing, and want to do and everything. And I mean, is the idea like between Kennedy and now we're looking at not giving people mood stabilizers that need it and all that stuff. Is all this like a point to just get rid of a certain faction of the country?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean behind closed doors, Elon and the sort of Peter Thiel types refer to those people as useless eaters
Yeah.
and as parasites. And look, you're in a world right now where an awful lot of Americans uh, hero worship Elon,
Yeah.
and because he's sort of doing the chaos that they knew that it would cost them too much politically to do before.
Mm-hmm.
But that chaos is going to have a political cost eventually, probably sooner than later. Donald Trump's approval numbers as of this week are down in the low 40s. That is not a good sign if you're Donald Trump, because being in the low 40s is political death. That's where you become less intimidating to people in your own party, harder to make them bow and scrape and do what you want. That's where you become wildly less effective at passing legislation and at moving public opinion and things like that. So a lot of what he's done has already hurt Trump. A lot of what Elon has done has hurt Trump. And Elon's numbers, 55% of Americans in the Reuters Ipsos poll say Elon has too much power. That number will not go down. It will
Yeah.
go up.
Well, it should. I mean, right now that should be at 100% in my goddamn opinion. But I mean, I guess I'm a fool or something. But
No, listen. Here's the thing: the celebrity culture of the celebrification of America. Elon is doing a lot of what happened to Trump back in 2015. When we were watching Trump come up, it was in 2015, we were all like studying and going to focus groups and like trying to figure out how to beat him. And so many people said, "Oh, I like Trump because he's a businessman. He's the richest man in the world. He's
Right.
owns all the buildings in Manhattan." All this BS, right? And it
Right.
was all crap. It was all garbage. And but he was on The Apprentice for 14 years, and everybody said, "Well, you know, Apprentice, man, you saw a guy. He's rich as hell."
Yeah.
It was an illusion. It was a
Mhm.
lie. But that lie was super effective with a lot of people. It made Trump appealing to a lot of people. Um, that lie has it still has a presence in our lives. Honestly, it's still part of how America views him. And Elon has sort of the same vibe, only he got his celebrity power from Twitter and Tesla and SpaceX.
Yeah.
And that's real. Those are real emotions. People feel like, oh, he's a genius. He's this. He's that.
Yeah.
He has a genius for acquisitions. He's not a genius
No.
in the genius qua genius, as they say.
That's
But
absolutely
he is not he is not a popular man right now because he what he's doing is making people feel chaotic and upset and disturbed and unhappy and the fact that he's enjoying doing those things,
yes.
I think is going to shape a different public opinion climate in the end than the one he has right now.
The only thing is, when do we get there? And do we get there before, King Donald now uh
Yes, King Donald, Lord Donald.
decides
Look,
he wants to do everything he can to keep everybody under the yoke of authoritarianism. I mean,
that is. I mean, people should not fool themselves. That is the goal.
right.
That is the objective. That is the outcome. He is an authoritarian. He is, as I like to say, dictator curious. He is a man who will absolutely stop at nothing to have a level of executive power that is that has not been seen before in an American government. And and these absolute declarations of executive power at the level he's pumping them out, they are in many or most cases patently unconstitutional,
Right.
unbelievably dangerous to this country. But why does he keep doing it, Brett? Ask yourself. He does it because no one stops him.
Right.
He does it because the Democrats haven't come out and said yet. Can I curse on this podcast?
Yeah. No, I've
Oh,
been
okay.
cursing.
They haven't come out and said, fuck you, Donald. We're going to let you shut down the government. You don't get a single vote from us on the budget.
Right.
And in the Senate, fuck you, John John Thune. We're not going to give you a single vote on any nominee. We're gonna filibuster everything. Everything goes to rule. Everything goes slow. Everything gets driven down into the slowest possible political calculus. And 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 right now it's like we want to work with the president to pass good legislation. And it's like, the fuck are you talking
Get
about?
a clue is what
Yeah.
it, I mean, seriously.
Yeah, the fuck are you people talking about? Pass good legislation. Who are you? Do you know Donald Trump? I mean, have you met this guy? And so I just think that there's a degree of, for me, uh, pretty profound cynicism about just how far Democrats are willing to actually go and fight,
Mhm.
and 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 if they don't, he is going to run roughshod over every constitutional principle in the world. He is
Yeah.
going to run roughshod over every idea and ideal that conservatives claimed they once represented.
Yeah. Well, it's obvious to me that Republicans have just given up on being conservative in any way, shape, or form at this point, because this
Oh
isn't
yeah,
conservatism. This is lunacy. I mean, so
yeah. It is. This is madness. This is Sparta.
yeah, yeah, yeah. What my question for you is, obviously there have been legal setbacks for them, but they're not really setbacks because they're not listening to anything that's been told to them to do. Where
Right.
how far does this? I mean, obviously it's meant to go as high as the Supreme Court to give him the answer he wants.
I, I will say this though, and I know I may be a cockeyed optimist at this point, but I still believe that there are very hard challenges ahead for the Supreme Court. But there is also a part of the Supreme Court's entire process right now that I'm fascinated by because do you end up with $5,000, $6,000 worth of, litigation numbers that are 5 or 600,000 dollars, excuse me, of litigation to get to an answer from this Supreme Court, and they just go, yeah, that's it, we're keeping it, whatever you need, Donald. The
Yeah,
red court problem is big. Now, there's also the argument that the court, at least at some level, still has to say the black letter law in the Constitution means something.
yes,
And even as loose conservatives, I think that there's a moment where it's going to be tough for some of them to go, yeah, well, yeah, no, the 14th Amendment doesn't really say what it says explicitly. And to find, hooks and angles for Trump. That's one of the bigger of his objectives is that 14th Amendment case. And I think he's got a harder time on that than the White House believes. And I also think you got a lot of this Article 1, Article 2 stuff that's going on, with the spending things and Doge and Elon Musk, a non-government employee closing down congressionally authorized and approved programs. I think there's a lot here that is going to hit the courts. It's going to hit the high court, most of most interest. But these things are going to be out in the states for a long time. We're going to have a lot of cases. This is going to be a non-trivial level of legal scrapping for a very long time.
yeah. I think the final question basically goes on the similar lines. Midterms, next presidential election.
Yep.
What chances are there of those being fair?
Well, here's the thing, and I, as a guy who lived in politics my whole life, I don't give a shit about fair. I think, I mean, look, I've won plenty of unfair races where people thought it was going to be a walkover. It is time for people, especially Democrats, to recognize that that you have to hammer him. You have to hammer him every day. You can't let him off the hook. You can't let his allies off the hook. And people want to do that. They want to say, we're the nice ones. We're the good ones. We're not gonna try to hurt Trump. We're just gonna try to help him have a successful administration.
Whatever.
And I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Is that what you do? Really? Because, these people they have a very high opinion of Trump and a very low opinion, frankly, of themselves.
Yeah.
And fighting the evil that is Trump is the morally correct thing to do. It's what people are morally obligated to actually go do and not just have the fake orgasm of political outrage.
Yeah. I get you. Well, Rick, I really thank you for taking the time today.
Absolutely,
I hope
pleasure.
to have you on again soon. I wanted to mention I saw your and Molly's show at City Winery in Chicago last year.
Oh, nice. Thank you for
And
coming out. That
yeah,
was fun.
it was too insane to wait in that line to bother you.
It was a big show. That was crazy. That was
Yeah.
really a great night. But next time, my friend,
Yeah, yeah. No, next time we'll grab a drink or something.
I'd love that. I'd love
All
that.
right.
Let's make it
Well,
happen.
thank you very much, Rick. You keep me going, quite frankly, because I know somebody out there is fighting. So thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Talk to
All
you
right, you have a
soon.
good day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye bye.